Thank you for the invitation. Indeed. So we just came back from San Sebastian. Monday and Tuesday, there was a social economy conference. Under each presidency, we organize a conference on social economy. And the idea is to exchange on the state of the art, to see what is at stake, what are the challenges, what are the objectives, where are we at, where do we want to go. And so it was in San Sebastian, which is right now the capital of social economy for Europe. And it's also, I mean, in the Basque Country, which is one of the world-known capital of cooperatives somehow. So it was very interesting. And the topic at this conference was People, Planet, Action. And I think it really did, this title was very, yeah, it really showed what we were trying to do and what we were, yeah, it showed the, how do you say, the essence of the conference, I'd say. There were more than 500 people registered, actually, actors from the social economy sector from all over Europe. There were even some people from neighboring countries and other continents, representatives of governments, quite a few. We also had a representative of the Commission and also Commissioner Schmidt himself. He was there the 2 days. And we tackled a lot of different topics. The European Action Plan, of course, the UN resolution on social and solidarity economy. We had also some parallel sessions on skills, as this year is the year of skills, transition pathways, innovation and finance, youth, visibility. There was also a session on the specific strength of social economy in Europe, the urban agenda, which is essential as well. And so all these topics, all these themes really show how social economy really permeates in all the topics related to society and economy. Of course, we also talked about social inclusion, the industrial agenda, and we had a session also on the digital social economy and the digital transition. To finalize all this, Social Economy Europe in particular organized awards. It's a way to make social economy initiatives visible, especially those who spike out as more innovative. So we had 4 different categories. There was skills, social innovation, green transition, and of course the digital transition. So yes, I'm actually very happy that today we have this conference, because I was very frustrated about the panel we had on digital, because it was just like opening up a little bit the box, and there was so many we want to talk about, so much we want to talk about, and so I'm really looking forward to deepening this conversation. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Julia. So I will now call for the two conferences. The first one to begin with, of course, which will be moderated.
So good afternoon, everybody. As Vice President of Social Good Accelerator, I am very pleased to be here with you today in this fine forum debate that is the European Economic and Social Committee. I'm really honored to moderate this roundtable discussion on the following topics: the digital social economy as an accelerator of democracy in Europe, civic tech, and citizen data. I would like to extend my warmest thanks to the Social Good Accelerator partners, many of whom are there today, for their involvement in the organization of the event. My warmest thanks also to the players and panelists who are joining us on this Friday afternoon in Brussels. To introduce discussions, I'd like to make a few observations. I will not be long. You are our guest. Before asking you two main questions. Today, some democracies can be described as dysfunctional, not least because of worrying concentration of power. In 2023, according to the VDEM Institute, misinformation and toxic levels of polarization are global trends that reinforce and exacerbate the restriction of the civic space. The world has moved from globalization to fragmentation. Within it, increasingly dangerous state and non-state forces are developing. A new war is therefore taking shape, in which the power of data is being harnessed to serve a variety of radical forces, resulting in the crumbling of silos that distract each other. Against this backdrop, not so nice, SOGA's mission is more relevant than ever: to support and develop the European digital model in a way that is inclusive, sustainable, and accessible to all, with a particular focus on accelerating the digital transition of the social economy and social tech. Clear is to SOGA and its partners, I hope, that we can be architects of citizen participation. To achieve this, we need to identify and correctly diagnose the problems posed by digital inclusion combined with those of democracy vitality. Be sure we are not going to solve out this topic or these issues in 40 minutes today, but we have invited the following guests to join us. I am sure that you will ask them for further details after this roundtable. So, pleased to introduce Adrien Duguet, the Association Civic Tech Europe President, Hendrik Nahr, Head of European Affairs of Make@org, Juliette, Project Manager at the French Agence Nationale de la Cohésion, Territoires, and Giuseppe Guerini, Social Economy Spokesperson on European Economic and Social Committee. I will turn to you, Adrien. I will start in an alphabetical order to the first question. Be please kind enough to keep 4 minutes in order to allow the audience to share some questions at the end of the debate. So, Adrien, how can civic tech, or with civil economy, within or with social economy, enable the exercise of a European digital democracy? Could you please illustrate with some of your initiatives?
Sure. In a few minutes, I guess, big topic. Good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to be here, and thank you a lot to the Social Good Accelerator for this new invitation, second year in a row, and it's often so interesting to have a yearly review of what's going on, especially between the civic tech world and the social economic world, especially also when in 2023 we have witnessed the rise of different kind of technologies, starting of course with AI technologies, but also beyond that, a lot of classical civic tech technologies have reached the maturity as technologies and also as methods and process. So to answer your question, first, I would like to speak very quickly about the Association Civic Tech Europe and what we represent. At the Association Civic Tech Europe, we bring together civic tech professionals having reached the European market. So we define ourselves as civic tech developers and providers, and most of our members, which are actually companies and organizations, are operating what we can call SaaS platforms or tools designed for a deeper participation, citizen participation and mobilization. What we are doing goes beyond the simple, I would say, citizen participation as it is usually accepted by the institution and governments, in the sense that we are trying to ask ourselves how tech can offer a comprehensive workspace to leverage and empower citizens through of course, local democracy, through massive consultation at EU scale, and Hendrik here will talk probably a lot about that later, and also through the organizing of grassroots movements, and beyond that, the support to civil society when it comes to organize and take actions and contribute to the public space. I'm stressing this point because the civic tech family goes once again far beyond the very small issue it's not small, but the very narrow issue of modernizing the institutions, and we try to have these comprehensive views of citizen engagements. And when we say that, it is a direct bridge with the social economic world, which from our point of view is actually trying to define different ways to engage citizens in societies through different kind of projects. And we see, of course, direct synergies between the sectors, and probably that the differences is just more about how the society sees us, instead of fundamental differences in our daily work. So just to introduce that there are multiple forms of civic tech tools and methodologies, and our goal for the coming years is to, in a sense, aggregate all these methods, all these tools to offer comprehensive space and seamless space, for citizens to engage.
Thank you very much, Adrien. Sharing tools, it's about sharing tools, sharing methodology, and I keep in mind the word of maturity of civic tech. What can you say, please, Hendrik?
Yes, maturity on civic tech is a good buzzword I'm happy to follow up on. So I think in your introduction, indeed, the big challenges that, let's say, liberal democracies face today were outlined beyond the other geopolitical and environmental troubles that the world is seeing. So in this context, I also want to thank you, Gabriela, for the introduction, and also the Social Good Accelerator for the invitation. maybe as a quick overview on what make.org is doing. So indeed, as Adrien said, we're a civic tech actor, also a founding member of ACTE, that aims to provide solutions in the world of participatory online democracy that actually bridges the gap of the usual suspect bias, as you might call it. So the people that are very engaged anyway, that have a strong drive and strong commitment to somehow make their voice heard in the public sphere. What we aim to build, or we built over the last years, are tools that allow, may it be public administrations, may it be other organizations, civil society organizations, to actually engage a wide range of people, many people that might have not been engaged in a certain or in specific political process before, to then in fact have public consultations that have representative results, so that have results that speak for the whole community and do not only reflect the voices of the very engaged people, which often is the case when, probably you know it from the work in the institutional world, when you launch a public consultation, you reach a certain type of people, and this is exactly the bridge we want to, the gap we want to bridge and to overcome. And indeed, when we talk about disinformation, when we talk polarization, these are exactly the points that we want to tackle. By first, when we look at disinformation, provide civic spaces online, provide reliable sources of information, provide people with direct access to safe political processes, and therefore finding their, let's say, safe space in the public debate. And the second one is polarization, indeed, where we have the goal to identify the consensus between people, to really say, okay, what do people have in common? Where do we see let's say, the shared gut feeling amongst citizens, which often is not reflected in the debate, both because of, let's say, interest from political actors, of course, to distinguish themselves from others, but as well, of course, how in the media economics and the question of, okay, of course, a title and a headline of division sells and clicks better than to mention what everyone has in common. So in these 2 points, I think we make a contribution. We try to make a contribution. I'm happy to bring you an example later on today on how I think we made a difference in this context. I'm happy to keep discussing it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Hendrik, for reminding us what about engagement wider, because it's about engagement wider, and about identifying consensus as well, a really important point. What about the social economy organizations within these terms of debate? Julia, what could you...
Thank you. To illustrate with a French example, with the rise of abstention in France, we need to question the model of citizen participation, as we already said. The digital technology can be an effective tool to mobilizing people and holding consultation. You will understand why I insist on the word tool. First of all, as I said before, we in our team in Société numérique program, we build the national roadmap for digital inclusion, and we propose for that an online consultation. We used Decidim, which is an open source software tool. Thanks to the platform, we were able to consult the entire digital ecosystem, of the ecosystem of the digital mediation, from the most local to the national level, from specialists to ordinary citizen. We were able to carry out an exhaustive and rapid consultation. However, the tool is not a deliberation tool. That's why civic texts need to be accompanied by panel hearing to nuance and clarify. The platform provided the framework, but it took us 6 months of deliberation and exchange with representatives of the various stakeholders to come up with a final roadmap finally. So it's a concrete example that I have to say.
Really, thanks, Julia. Talking about gathering stakeholders, what can you share with us in regards on social economy organizations and the link with the civic and
Okay, thank you. First of all, let me thanks to choose to realize this conference here in EESC. This is the house of civil society in Europe. I don't know if you know what we are, but here there is a representation of 27 member states, 329 people working as representative on trade union, civil society organization, employers. This is three group that we work. Okay, and we are made a lot of opinion. Our work is realize opinion in general on policy coming from the European institution, but also some opinion is created by own initiative. And in the last 20 years, we are made more than 20 opinion only in social economy. And in the last year, some of these opinion regarding social economy and digitalization, social economy and new technology, social economy and innovation. But we are create also in some section that is charged on social affair or citizenships. They work a lot about right, about against, for example, the fake news, about the utilization of new technology to spread fake news. And so it's very good for us to have this occasion to share also our work. I don't present our work, but you can check on the website of the European Economic and Social Committee. You can find a lot of document about this issue. What is the matter today, and why we need to have not only one European way to approach, to regulate the innovation in digital sector, but also we need to have a role played by social economy organization. In general, today we talk about two main ways for innovation in digital technology. The way that is mainstream in the United States is steering by the market. Is the market that made the principal decision. Or, in opposite, we are one way in the authoritative state, or in China, for example, but also in some other country in Asia, where it's not the market, but it's the state that chooses what is the rule. And Europe and the European Union is the unique continent and unique market that provide realize regulation to maintain a balance between market and between control of society using new technology. This is a very important issue. We work a lot here in the committee to promote this one. When we talk about new technology, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, in every time we say, okay, we support, we are very happy, we welcome the innovation, but we ask also to maintain the humanity on the center. And there is a lot of proposal coming from the European Commission, and I underline the last proposal coming from the digital market. The digital market service that provides regulation about how the single market in Europe can use new technology. The digital service market is how the service is used in a way that works for people and for enterprises, not only for enterprise, not only for the market, but also for the people. The third really important is the Data Governance Act. It's a really interesting proposal about how we use the data. As you know, data set is really strategic now because, for example, artificial intelligence work using data. And everything, every day we produce a huge volume of data. And so we need to have a regulation to maintain the sovereignty on this data. It's really interesting two concepts that we can find in the digital service, the Data Governance Act. The first one is the data cooperatives. You can organize cooperative to share, to stock, and to use data in a mutualistic way. The second one, really interesting, again, for social economy organization, is the altruistic organization for management and share data. It's called here, altruistic data management. It's very interesting because it's the way that also main or the activity that social economy organization played. I go just to underline some other question. Why this is so important today? Almost 5-6 years ago, we started to talk in Europe about Industry 4.0. So Internet of Things, blockchain technology, but it's connected to the industry. Economy 4.0. Now we start to talk about Industry 5.0. It's not only Internet of Things, but first of all, artificial intelligence. And so I think we need to talk about is not only Industry 5.0, economy 5.0, but it's all society 5.0. If all society is 5.0, so to think about a whole new technology, we need also that social economy organization take in account this way. Also because there is a huge uncertainty for people today. People is scared about social, about artificial intelligence, about new technology. And we can do a real important work to exercise our role beside the people, because the access to the new digital infrastructure is one of the possibility also to participate in general for the democracy, for all life today is connected by some new digital technology. If we don't work beside the people to accompany people to understand, to be confident, to learn how we can use in a normal way this kind of device is really important. And the last is when we talk about ecosystem is not matter of tools, technology, device, but is behavior. The ecosystem, when we talk about human activity is behavior. And behavior need to invest in culture, to promote culture. And this is our task, not only provide service, to provide technology, but also provide and using our experience to promote a culture that maintain people at the center. Thank you.
Giuseppe, thank you very much for reminding us during the last 20 years here. So, and thank you for underlining the cooperatives alternative on functioning, the way of functioning of this alternative as an illustration. So we can see how it is possible to spread the word through the examples you have shared. Thank you very much for this. I would like to pass to the second big question in order to hear in your views. In your opinion, why is it crucial to develop this healthy digital civic space in Europe, and what is the role of social economy in this regard? Again, and turning on Adrien, could you please share with us your view?
Sure. And before coming to the role of social economy and the bridges between sectors, I also wanted to react on what you both said regarding the tools and the fact that tools should not be the final border of civic participation. I totally agree, even if we are actually building this kind of tools. However, I feel that in the debate, and especially at the EU level, we are underestimating absolutely the question of innovation and the question of building relevant tools when it comes to this field. We say it's tools have to support a method. It is totally true. But in the same time, tools are directly shaping the way we are interacting with institutions, the way we are interacting with democracy and the civic space. And also by tools, and it's also very important because often we used to separate offline and online. And when we used to think about digital tools, the stakeholders used to think about online tools. This is not true anymore. Now when we are talking about digital tools, and especially in the civic tech field, we are talking about tools leveraging technologies to have a comprehensive view of both offline and online interaction. So this is no more the digital space, again, the physical space. We are talking about comprehensive tools. And when it comes to that, at the EU level, and it's, of course, our agenda and what we advocate, we notice that there is an absolutely lack of of space to innovate with all the key stakeholders, because on the one part, the public agenda is rarely or almost non-focusing on tools, or when it is focusing on tools, it is using the tools having already been developed 10 years ago. You mentioned Decidim. Decidim is a framework, very useful framework, very powerful framework, but relying on different kind of tech and methodologies designed already 10 years ago. It is, of course, a good moment for the civic tech ecosystem and the institution to use Decidim. And last year we saw that with the Conference for the Future of Europe that we have also supported. But I just wanted to mention that it has been 10 years to develop the frameworks, and it's only now that the institutions are taking this framework into account and implementing it, and sometimes also highlighting it as the latest stage of citizen participations. Once again, we are all supporting this kind of frameworks and participative approach, but we also know as professionals that the state of texts, the state of methods is actually far beyond this kind of approach these days. And it matters because at the EU level, we are also I would say, interacting and having to tackle with different kind of external stakeholders, having much more powerful text than we have. And at the EU level, we lack this kind of innovation discussion related to tech and bringing together all stakeholders from the public, civil society, and from the private sector. So this is my point about tools. I agree that tools are not the only border of tech and civic participation, but I also know that in the way we are talking about it, it's a bit too easy sometimes to say that it doesn't matter at all and that we have to privilege methods about tools. Now, if we come back to the vision and the link with the social good economy, as I mentioned at the very beginning of my speech, now is the era of having a comprehensive approach of methodologies regarding citizen participations. It can be participation and engagement in daily life through civil society. It can be citizen participations through local institutions. It can be citizen participation through time-to-time initiatives. It can have a lot of faces. And the same way, if I can take the comparison, the same way the energy market is not actually this mix of energies. We are not privileging one energy against all the others, because 100 years ago, when we discovered, for example, the oil, humanity discovered the oil, we were thinking at the beginning that it would mean that coal will not be used anymore. But oil added to coal, and electricity added to oil, and then nuclear fusion added to the rest of it. And now the wind and solar panels, etc., are adding new opportunities to the rest of the market. Actually, the same kind of things is happening to the citizen participation ecosystems, because every time we are designing a new participation methodology, every time we are designing a new kind of tools, a new kind to reach out to the citizen, we are adding it to the rest of it. And the main issue these days is that it is becoming harder and harder for stakeholders, harder and harder for civil society to have a comprehensive view of everything that it is existing, and how we can once again develop the bridge between it. So as a vision, we propose this kind of comprehensive approach, a huge effort when it comes to innovation and also R&D regarding both tools and methods. And I agree with you, because you mentioned education and training earlier. We see training needed, of course, for citizens as a global endeavor to widespread participation culture in society, but we also see it very needed for professionals, civil servants, and leaders, just to understand what are the opportunities already existing and how to size it and how to develop it. And I will finish on a very concrete example. And I know that there are a lot of French in this room, so I'll take a French example, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing in a lot of the member states. In France, a few years ago, the governments at least announced a huge effort to develop local democracy participatory approaches, and you may have in local communities some citizen participative program manager, let's say this is that way, with the clear goal to promote participative approach locally. But at the same time, there are no career, there are no training paths for these people. And in practice, it means that very locally, just a lot of mayors, a lot of political leaders are just designing someone to take in charge of citizen participation, while citizen participation requires skills, require tools, require professional and advanced training. So when we are talking about training and educations, it's also designing the path for deeper professionalization of the sector, of the people, and then beyond that, we can think about promoting the participative culture in the broader society and citizen.
Focus on shaping spaces, focus on a comprehensive approach of innovation as well. education and training. A few words. What do you think, Hendrik? What can you share with us on regards
Yes.
the digital space?
Thank you. I think the question of healthy civic space is very crucial and comes at the core of what we're doing. I think also what ACTE in general is doing, and I agree with Adrien, because there's a lot of tools or a lot of different approaches and methodologies, and we have to understand when to use which one best. I'm happy to bring you one example of what we did over the last 6 months, and then also come to the answer of where civil society and social economy plays a role in all of this. Ahead of the European elections that will come in June next year, we gathered, as you can see, a quite diverse group of civil society actors, as well as institutional partners, the private sector, media, and academic partners, to engage a conversation amongst young Europeans on their priorities on the European elections. And we created what I would claim it was a healthy civic space. And when we see the next slide, maybe we can see, thank you, the different ways we went along. So we just finished the first phase, which was listening. We gathered 1.5 million young voices on our platform, established the agenda of hope that I'm very happy to present just in a bit, and then we go to phase 3 eventually in spring to get people to vote. So the agenda of hope is the gathering of 15 popular ideas on our platform, where we find consensus amongst Europeans that are statistically representative, which is very important to us, because obviously we don't just talk about, okay, as I said before, some people drop their ideas here and there, and then you have a good collection of those who are very engaged. But we really ensured, with the profile of the people we had on board, a statistical representativeness. And then we also find topics that must be addressed further on, the divisive ideas. So really the ideas where we can see, okay, we cannot find a consensus. In the contrary, people are more or less 50-50 divided in this context. May I? Just perfect. And just to illustrate this representativeness, is that the results, the agenda of hope, speaks for the young Europeans in the sense that they reflect the composition of youth in terms of education, age, gender, and the location, as you can see here. So we really took the Eurostat data and we run our consultation in a way that mirrors this. And this is the result, as you wish. So we have 7 dimensions and 15 priorities, 15 ideas where we found consensus amongst young Europeans that ahead of the European elections we should make these topics a priority, and we should really run political campaigns that are based on these topics. And we believe that with the civic space that we created, to get back to the question, we enabled this discussion, which is, of course, in my view, much more constructive than what you find on the social networks these days, because we really got to speak people to each other and evaluate the constructive proposals that they made in this context. And you can see that these ideas cover different topics, they cover different elements, they also are not particularly, let's say, you cannot put them in different political boxes to say, okay, this is more of left-wing or right-wing ideas, no federalist or nationalist ideas, which exactly mirrors this composition that I showed before. It's not like we run this campaign together with the Young European Federalists and you just can see federalist ideas. No, we really ensured a widespread participation. And just to finish, also to highlight the divisive ideas, so the points where people cannot agree upon. And I think it's very interesting to see as well that, you know, questions of, for example, more federalist Europe or more nationalist Europe is highly debated amongst young people. And this is something that I think was possible to highlight because of the creation of a civic space and because, to come back to the first slide, this broad coalition that helped us to engage all of these people and to ensure a representative result in this context. And this is where I think is the role, at least from us in this whole game, but then also from other organizations, to strive for these civic spaces and for a safe space for people to engage politically.
Taking part on broad coalitions is one of the illustration of according to us to action. Julia, could you?
Yeah. Your question was about healthy digital civic space in Europe, and I wanted to talk about open data because I think it's essential for transparency. First and foremost, in a promise of transparency with citizens. In particular, it can reinforce citizens' commitment and democratic commitment. But data openness also enables democratic empowerment for public decision maker. And on it, I want to react about what you said because about the training, because I think it's important to make making data a tool for decision making. For example, we want to promote local public policies for digital inclusion, as I said. This requires a local diagnosis of local needs, and we have a lot of data about digital inclusion, and we're trying to organize it and make them as readable as possible. There is, however, a need to train public decision maker to read and manipulate data, and players in the social economic could play a role in it.
A huge program. Thank you very much. Giuseppe, could you share with us?
Thank you. I tell you a brief history. Before I say that it did not matter only of the tools, but of the behavior. But of course, tools is important. And so I tell you this history, an example. I come from Bergamo. Bergamo is one of the town, the first town hit by the pandemic on 2020. And when we organized the lockdown, schools are closed, people is at home, and in Italy it start the school on device from remotely. And so Bergamo is a region really rich. So there is a lot of industry, of activity, well, but there is also inequality. And some people have many children and only one device. They cannot participate on the lesson. And so we create an alliance between foundation, one foundation, cooperatives, bank, a huge foundation that we are in Italy, and we are organizing a specific project, and we are give for free 800 personal computer and 800 tools for the connection. But it's not enough, because okay, if you give only tools, but we don't organize a project, and so we are creating within the public sector, first of all, the public library, the place. We are create a format, one layout, and organize this kind of point we are called community point, with a digital educator, not to understand how we can use a device, but why we use device and what is the acknowledgement that we need to have to use better this kind of device. And this now we are 48 8 community point in a whole province or region, and we organize many activity to stay beside the young people, beside the family, to use again, because now there is not a lesson remotely, but we go away, we stay working on education about how we need to use better this kind of device. And so I propose one idea around this is an idea that I work in this reflection with my colleagues also in CECOP, talking about cooperative and how we can organize a strategy for social economy. We need, in my opinion, in Nahr, there are 7 steps that I propose. The first is vision. We need to have a specific vision about how we can promote a tangible and distinctive vision on using the digital technology for social economy. We need to create a strategy. We need to work to have a strategy, because if not, we waste a lot of resources, because new technology is very expensive, and social economy organizations, they don't have so much money, and so we need to create a shared strategy. The third, from storytelling toward story making. It's not enough to make storytelling about how social economy organization can provide device, but also to create new opportunity. Data acknowledged, we need to raise up our awareness about the importance of the data set and the data management. Education, training, and skills. I use a motto: socializing acknowledgement to democratizing empowerment, to using new technology also to realize our specific task. Advocacy and alliance. We need to have a specific advocacy for use the potential for social economy to create a digital way for life that is inclusive. And so to do that, we need to create an alliance. Alone, we cannot realize a very important advocacy to promote a digital, a social economy digital way. And the last is found. We need to find new investors, and we need to use the interest that in the financial sector is rising about social impact investment to promote our way. Not only because we are good, we are fine, we are the social promoter, but also because if we enlarge the participation on the in the digital life, this is important also to promote a market, and we can correct or restart to have economic progress for all, because in the last 2 centuries, on the industrial revolution, on the many economic revolutions that we are see in history of the humanity, every time when there is economic growth, there is also economic and general wealth increasing. General wealth. But in the last 10 years, the digital economy is very rocket, very quickly. And there is a huge inequality now. And so we need to reflect, because it's the first time that when we are a very huge growth in economy, there is not enough equality or there is lack equality compared to the past. And so it has changed the paradigm. And so we can promote an idea also for general economy to maintain the equality, because without equality we cannot have a progress. Maybe grow, but not a progress. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe, to focus on empowering skills, empowering through skills, empowering the social economy through alliances as well, empowering through through investments. I'd like to say just that we can see how important it is to mobilize actors. So this is a kind of synthesis of this exchange of points of view. I don't know if the floor of the audience have any questions to the panelists, and then I will turn to the panel and I will ask who want to respond. So could you please share your question?
Hi, I'm Vasilis Sofiadelis. I'm the president of Changemakers Lab. I think there's 2 points that I'd like to raise questions, and I think the one is for Adrien and Hendrik. So it's amazing the developments that have done with this civic tech. The question is, how do we, and the information that's provided, how do we engage with the citizens? For example, at this point in time, we have what's happening in Israel-Palestine we're not talking about. My question is, how do we engage? And it's polarizing our society. So I'm asking, how can we get a way that people feel comfortable within it, that we can have a dialogue and a discussion to address it? Given that we've got the tools to listen to the voices, how can we take action in a safe environment to have these kind of discussions? Because if we don't, it's going to end up polarizing society more. So the point is, we've got these tools. The question is, how can we connect with the decision makers to have that kind of discussion? You know, I don't know. So that's the one question. And then the other, the 7-step approach that was mentioned by Mr. Guerini, it's really inspiring to hear that. And I think the first point to say is, no one has got exactly the solution how to address the future of the social economy, and to come and be in this forum and say that we need to find a clear vision, I think is really inspiring to hear that. So the question is, how can we co-create? How do we come together to determine what that vision can look like? Because I think, if we don't have that kind of common vision of what it's going to look like, how can we move forward in the best way? So, and what is the right platform for us to be able to engage in that? And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you for your few questions. Who would like to respond?
Yeah, I can go first, and then Adrien, maybe you can complement, and then happy to pass on for the second question. I think the point that you raised on how to engage with decision makers is very crucial here, because the example of the Middle East situation at the moment is maybe very striking in the sense that there is a lot of debate on social media. Some is constructive, others is not, but of course there is no funneled way in the way to bring it to politics or bring it into the arena of parliaments, of ministries, etc., etc. Our approach, at least, is to first, as I mentioned before, create this civic space. Then, very crucial to our solution is that we have our own data scientists and sociologues in-house that then actually make sense of the proposals. So we don't just kind of send an Excel file and say, okay, now have fun with it, but actually address what are the consensuses and what are the divisive ideas, as I shared before, that then will be passed on to decision makers in a constructive way. And I think this is the important point, that this is really hands-on. Okay, here is what you can act upon because people agree upon it, and not just, okay, this is a Twitter trend today, make something out of it. And in fact, this is what we're going to do over the next months, is to pass this agenda on to the candidates and on to the political parties that run in the elections next year, so that they can build their campaigns on the priorities of young people, find their answers to the proposals that we identified, and really respond to this and be also held accountable in a way, because of course we will see whether or not they find the answers to that. But I agree, it's a big challenge to make it constructive and to build the bridge between decision makers and then kind of the participants of these kind of initiatives. For us, it's really the in between of making it tangible, making it concrete, and passing it on. Because also we have to agree that ultimately the competence lies with the elected and not with us or with other civic tech organizations. Adrien.
Yeah, to give a complementary views about what Hendrik just said. Often when we lead this kind of initiative, for example, we have a demand from a government to organize a great consultation or to engage a citizen. Too often, they just envision this kind of participation initiative in the short run, and they think that because we have powerful tools, it will be easier for us to, as Hendrik said, reach out to 1, 2, 3 more million citizens. The problem is not that we cannot do that, because it's possible to do it. But when we think about long-term engagement, the problem is that we need long-term strategy. And at some point, these kind of strategies also relies on the ability for the stakeholders to build communities of citizens. And these communities of citizens, it is not the kind of community we can find necessarily on the social media, because often we are all falling in the trap of having a look to the social media and thinking that the social medias are civic spaces of speeches, and that what we see represent the society as a whole. While actually most of the society is not on the social media, or at least not on the public social media as we see it, and it can have very huge consequences. Let's take, for example, what happened in Slovakia a few weeks ago. In Slovakia, you have these problems with deepfakes during the campaigns, but actually during the campaign, most of the media and traditional observer didn't see it, because most of the deepfakes were sent through the personal messengers and apps, which means that you have communities organized beyond what we see as professionals, beyond what we see as stakeholders, and we have to understand them, and we have to build it in time. When it comes to organize citizen operations, it means that you have to think about how to build community of citizen ambassadors, for example, or community of volunteers, or community of long-term committed citizen on the ground in different ways, in different approaches, but always by focusing on the citizenship experience, in a sense, of the citizen when they join the collective, when they take actions, when they have a feeling of local community. And we miss that because it's a complementary approach of traditional consultation. It's also, and this is the problem, much more harder to put in place, because it requires a sustained effort in the long term, and unfortunately most of the time public actors may not have the agenda, resources, or ability by mandate to do so. So yes, just to complete, the next era of civic tech is about building also local communities of engaged citizens able to act, and to also act beyond the public actors' will, but by contributing to the society as a whole. It is possible these days through different kind of tech, but to be totally straight with you, I've never seen any kind of operations supported at the EU level, especially focusing on this comprehensive approach. The Your Hope initiative actually has been designed also in this way, because you have this first part of consultation, and then different stages, including field actions and the possibility to build community. But I see also Your Hope, and we are partner of Your Hope, of course, as a MVP of what could be this kind of big operation in the future. I don't know if it answer or give some ideas But
I want to say thank you, and I think co-working spaces and creative hubs, I think, can play a key role in terms of engaging with communities that are on the ground. That, you know, because of the fact that they represent by and large a large community, if we can find ways to start engaging, and you know, even if it's on a specific kind of issue, to see of how we can really connect with decision makers. But the point of where you're saying it's heading, how could we explore that in practice? You know, just in some or other matter, and if it's possible with this matter, because of the fact that I brought up, because of how polarizing it is and how concerning it is. And I don't know the solution. I'm not, you know, I'm just.
Sorry, but I was a bit too soon. One of the key things we do is trying to design, in a sense, grid of engagement with concrete action and steps that citizens can make before, during, and after the consultations. And the complexity of it is that the action that has to be different depending of who is the people participating, where is the people participating, the language, local context, etc., etc. But this is a kind of focus, even if, and I will just add one food for thoughts, we tend to think that democracy and participation has always to be impactful, and that each kind of action need to be evaluated. For example, we assess the success of an election by the number of people voting because we have a clear number, etc., etc. But we underestimate the power of small actions that may not have concrete results in the short term, but are actually building a community. And I say that, I'll give you a concrete example. From time to time, we have, I'm also working with field operations, for example, for climate change, where people are organizing canvassing in local communities. Of course, organizing canvassing on a small stage doesn't have a clear impact and will not revolutionize the civic space as well. However, it built a community, and it built a community not on ideas, but also on common life sharing and common and real relationships.
Just a very quick point. Okay, sure, no problem.
Yeah, very brief. I think that the involvement of the civil society, the connection between civil society and policy on decision maker is really important. But we can use our network. For example, we are great in Europe. This Sarah is there. Social Economy Europe. Social Economy Europe is an umbrella organization that create advocacy and alliance to promote social economy and to promote participation. We need to have to realize many activity to create continuous communication between the grassroots level and the European level. Because sometimes we work in egg level here in Europe. I think in the last 2 years we have achieved a very big recognition with the recommendation resolution from the United Nations. There is a really interesting work created by United Nations, I think 5 years ago, about social economy and digitalization. But it's really hard to take this egg level document, organization, proclamation, resolution, to accompany in the grassroots. The second one, using this house, we are not decision maker or policy maker, but we are near to the parliament, near to the commission. This is represented the social civil society, and we can use that. I suggest you to read or in your website to follow our activity. And the third is answer to the European institution consultation. European institution and European Commission is more and more open that usually media explain. And sometimes I'm very sad because there is some consultation opened by the European Commission and they have no answer. This is really important, and our task is also to invite our member as well, participate to the consultation, because it's the European Union come toward you and you are not interested, you don't participate. One of the last consultations that really interesting for social economy is about the cross-border activity for association. How much answer on the consultation?
We had, I think, nearly 80.
Thank you very much. To conclude, many thanks to all of you for your detailed contributions. It's clear that we have many challenges in view of the European elections on 2024. It's a very huge issue. And I will invite you to go to the break and to take some coffee, and let's make way for the next roundtable session, please. Thank you very much.